Hi everyone, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and today I am here to show you how to make this very clever little pocket, I'm calling it, that you can attach to the front of your journals, planners, notebooks, whatever you use there. And inside of that you can keep your pens or pencils, markers, things like that. It is also the perfect size to hold a cell phone, so that may be another option. But this is a continuation in our ongoing series, which is featuring small gifts that you can make for your friends and family and co-workers for the holidays. So before we get started with this project, I just want to say congratulations to Alicia Alvos. You are the winner of the little key fob swivel holder that we made last week that holds the essential oil roller balls. I'm going to send you an email, Alicia, and if you'll just reply to that, I'll ship your prize right away. Okay, so for this project, you're going to need 2 rectangles of cotton fabric, one that measures 5 inches wide by 18 inches long, and one that measures 2.5 inches wide by 18 inches long, as well as a 10-inch strip of 3/4 inch elastic and a small piece of cardboard. You could also cut up an old plastic placemat if you have one of those on hand, or a plastic file folder will work just as well. And this cardboard measures 5 3/4 inches by 4 inches. Okay, so to get started, take your longer rectangle and fold those short ends over twice to create a nice hem. You're going to do that at both ends and just stitch that hem down. So one end hemmed, and then I want to go to the other side and just fold that over once and twice. And you could press that at the iron if you like, and then I'm just going to hem that. And now I've hemmed the rectangle at both ends. I'm going to set that aside for just a second. Take the smaller rectangle and fold that in half long ways, pretty sides facing, and just stitch down that long end using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, and then I've created a tube. You want to leave the short ends open, and then using a safety pin, I'm going to flip this little tube right side out. So you just put the safety pin in one side of that fabric, and then you push that safety pin back in there, and you just pull the fabric over the top of that safety pin, and it starts to turn in on itself. They do sell these little nifty turners. I think they're made by Dritz at the fabric shop. So if you have one of those, go ahead and use it. But this is a relatively short piece of fabric, so it's pretty easy to turn. So the safety pin comes out the other side there, and you just pull on that. And then voila, I have a nice little tube here. And I want to take my safety pin out of that, and I will need that again. Now I've taken that tube and I've pressed that flat so that the seam is centered along the back side there. And I want to take my 10-inch piece of elastic and put the safety pin in through that, and then I'm going to feed that elastic through this tube using the same thing, and just as you go, you scrunch that elastic up until it looks like this, which is actually really cute all by itself. So you can see the seam is centered nice and neat in the back there, and then the front is very tidy, and because the fabric was longer than the elastic, it has a nice stretch. Okay, so now we're going to take our rectangle here And we're going to want to fold that up 6 inches, okay? So from this bottom fold, there we go, from this bottom fold here to this first hem is 6 inches there. And then you can press it with the iron or just crease it with your fingernail so that you have a little crease line there. And then go ahead and position that elastic at the center, one end of that elastic at the center on that crease line, and you can put a pin in that just to hold it, and then fold that bottom 6-inch flap up, and you're going to head over to the sewing machine and stitch across that with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then double stitch or back stitch across that elastic, okay? All right, so I've stitched across that bottom, and what that's done is capture that elastic inside of there. Okay, so I can go ahead and take out that pin, and now I want to fold that top part down, and that's going to come down 2 inches, and I'm going to crease that 2 inches with my fingernail there, and I'm going to do the same thing and open that up and center that elastic and then close down that flap, and if you need you can put a pin in it. I'm just going to hold it, turn it over here, head to the machine, and stitch that all the way across, capturing that elastic in the seam. Okay, and now I have like a little pop-up handle there with the elastic centered. So I want to fold down that 2-inch portion nice and flat, and then I want to press down this elastic here, it's kind of thick, and fold up that bottom piece. And this is where it might be handy for you. You just want to align these two hems, so just put a pin in each side so that this lays flat. You're of course going to have a big bump in the middle from that elastic, but you see I just pin that like that, and now you're going to stitch down both sides there, and you can go ahead and use the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I've stitched up the sides, and now I can reach inside of there and flip this around with that little opening there. And once I do this, I'm going to poke out all the corners, and then I'm going to go ahead and head over to the iron and press it nice and flat. You want to be careful of the elastic because you don't want to stress those fibers with the heat. So just scoot the elastic off to the side while you press this. Okay, so now I have this pressed nice and flat. I want to take that piece of cardboard and slide that in there, and you just bend the cardboard a little bit. Be careful of those points where the hem is connecting. You don't want to stress that out too much. Okay, so now you have a nice rigid pocket with that, and if you like you can stitch all the way around that. Just be careful not to strike that cardboard with your needle, and this particular size will fit over a small journal. Very nice. I hope you enjoyed the project. It was a pleasure sewing with you. I will be back next week with another little tiny sewing project that you can gift to friends and family. Until then, please know the creative genius in me celebrates the creative genius in you. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Hi everyone, it's Andrea, and I am here today to tell you about a brand new platform that I have created especially for the Etsy maker. This may come as a shock to you, and actually, if I can be totally honest, it shocks me because I know that it was just one woman and a sewing machine that did this. But guys, girls, ladies, people, I have made more than $250,000 selling my products on Etsy. Now, for some of you, perhaps that's not a lot of money, but if you think about it, what would $250,000 mean to your family? Like, you could do a lot of stuff.